A very good morning and thank you for joining us right here at NTV. My name is Victor Ngaroya and I am right here at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, KICC. And what is taking place here is that the Ministry of Education is holding a national conversation on the competency-based education, CBE. And the main objective, according to the Ministry of Education, of this forum is to present and deliberate the reports from all 47 counties on the implementation of CBE in all the counties. Right about now, it is ongoing, and I would like to take you straight to the forum so that you can get a glimpse of what is taking place.
Yes, there. Na kiatu namba 13. Twende kazi. Do you want to see how he did it? Okay, so public demand. I tell you, my brother, this is a serious public demand. Amekwama kidogo kwa kazi. Okay, so he's here. He's now at the Parliament building outside. So 3 minutes local best. Let's go. Track 2 straight. Hey! And he's there. Kwani kuna nini? Sitwende bana. Harakisha. Ama nini? CDF. Kuna shida? Alafu, sungarakisha tu. Hii vitu maliza haraka. Siweke hiyo. Yes. That's it. Na wewe, tukuje jioni, tuonane. Bado unapiga Glenn. Wewe, na wewe jamani, ni vipi bana? Madam Ekirapa, how are you? Hey, long time bana. Kuja sasa, piga simu, call me. Hapa tayari. Hawana dishi. Na magari wako huko. Amemaliza. Ama namna gani? Okay. Now for the current one. Hii ni moto ya kuotea mbali. Track 8 baba. So hii yake mkono hii haisongi, hii peke yake ndio naye. Kama umeangalia vizuri. Alafu yake hana haraka. Are you ready? Twende kazi. Let's give a round of applause to the current president. Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think that was a transition. So the value and the virtue of marching is the same. It's just the same curriculum, but now that change is a condition of exercise. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause to Pige Makofi Pole Pole to Kifurai. Now, after break, I know you are more energized. We want to get into a serious business again here. And I want to straight away call upon Mr. Mungai. Will be here with us to take us through. This is the head of Directorate of Projects. Pigia makofi Mr. Mungai, anapokuja hapa juu tumpigie makofi. Asante sana. Thank you so much. Welcome.
Thank you very much, PS and all the dignitaries in the room. Hamjambo? Hamjambo tena. As some preliminary kidogo, I think we have a request that you allow us to take the 4 presentations at once, and then we have a plenary and deal with all of them. If that is acceptable, then I'll call the presenters in front. Is that acceptable? Very well. And therefore, I am delighted to invite Dr. William Sugut, who is the head of the Directorate of Secondary Education here, and Professor Charles Ongondo, CEO KICD, and Dr. Nancy Masharia, but now represented by Peter Kega, Teacher Service Commission. And then we have Dr. David Jengere, our CEO, NEC. And the first to go will be Dr. Sugut, and Dr. Sugut is not new to us. We have worked with him, those in the field, as our very competent field officer, as a CD, and also as a regional director, and going up to become the director who is now in charge of that area. And I know as participants here, we are asking ourselves very hard questions. And we did have discussions with you when we came to the dialogues at the county level, and the issues of pathways. There were still people with gaps. He will clear that. There was a question of categorization of schools. And I know one of the delegates here raised an issue. Dr. Sugut will be also able to cover that. And what the parents are asking on a daily basis, the selection and placement of learners. How will it be done? He's going to be able to pronounce that. And because we have all the key, today I learned we don't call them stakeholders now. They are still stakeholders anyway. What are our roles? What are our responsibilities when it comes to selection and placement? So I will request Dr. Sugut to be quite brief, but make sure he doesn't miss a point. And then keep your questions until after we have had the fourth presentation, and we can deal with all of them at the same time. Thank you very much. Dr. Sugut.
Thank you very much, Mungai. Our Principal Secretary, Ambassador Professor Bitok, our DG, our distinguished stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Allow me to quickly, because of time, and I know the timer will be on any time, that now address the question of guidelines for selection and placement of learners to senior school. As we are all aware, we have been able to carry out the county dialogues in 47 counties. We've also had the privilege of meeting the heads of junior schools in all the 8 regions. And we've had the opportunity to be able to present this to the principals in the various counties. And given that our first cohort of the competency-based education learners are now in grade 9, we therefore need to firm up their transition to senior school. And therefore, that's what I will concentrate on this particular afternoon. The outline of this presentation will be a brief one. We will have a small introduction. I will look at the overview of the pathways at senior school, and then categorization of senior schools, selection and placement to grade 10, admission and replacement process, look at the automated system, and conclude with the roles and responsibilities of key stakeholders. And therefore, in a manner like jet-like speed, allow me then to be able to move directly to that, the next slide. We are all aware that the competency-based curriculum was rolled in 2017, and that the education reforms are founded on the national and international legal and policy frameworks. We are alive to the fact that we have a constitution. We also have the Basic Education Act 2013, which Professor Odore told us that is being amended, of course. We have the Children's Act of 2022, And as a country, we subscribe to Kenya Vision 2030 and the sessional paper number 1 of 2019, not to mention the Basic Education Curriculum Framework 2017, and that even as a sector, we already have in place the National Education Sector Strategic Plan running from 2023 to 2027. And we are also alive to the fact that learners are able differently. And therefore, the question of the sector policy for learners and trainees with disabilities is also relevant. The United Nations Convention on Rights of the Child and the SDGs, particularly goal number 4, which talks about quality education. And because we'll be handling massive data, we are also alive to the question of the Data Protection Act of 2019. In terms of pathways, which I know Professor Ngonda will still touch on, as children transit to senior school, we are aware that in junior school, they are pursuing 9 learning areas. And when they get to senior school, the pathways will be 3. The pathways are arts and sports science, which will branch into arts and sports science. The second pathway is social sciences, which will get into the track of languages and literature, humanities and business studies. And then STEM pathway, which will entail pure sciences, applied sciences, and technical studies. The children who get to senior school will be able to pursue 7 learning areas or subjects, 4 of them being core. And of course, we will firm up these following the pronouncement by our Cabinet Secretary. That is the question of English, Kiswahili, community service project, and physical education. And then the 3 will come from the area of specialization. Now, in terms of categorization of schools, schools are categorized according to pathways, so that therefore we have triple pathway schools and double pathway schools. The combinations will be a school can offer STEM, social sciences, and arts and sports, or can offer STEM. STEM will be mandatory for all schools because we want to firm up TVET because that is where the country is moving to and that's where the world is moving to. Or you can combine STEM and social sciences. Then therefore, in terms of accommodation, you will have schools that are day senior schools, those that are hybrid in the sense that we will have those that are both day and boarding. And of course, you'll have girls or have boys. And we are cognizant of the fact that there are special needs schools, which also need to be taken care of. The selection itself will be determined in terms of pathways, and you are aware of the kind of work that our quality assurance team has done, particularly to establish the capacities in the institutions with regard to what it is that they can offer, given the infrastructure and the capacity in terms of numbers. And the selection of pathways, subject combinations, and schools by grade 9 learners will go on. Now, in terms of selection on pathway, the learners will select 12 schools for their chosen pathway as follows. They will select 4 schools in first choice track and subject combination, 4 for the second, and 4 for the third. I will explain that in detail in a little while. Now, in terms of accommodation, out of the 12 schools, we expect that 9 will be schools which are boarding, and 3 of the 9 will come from the home county of that particular learner, and 6 from outside the county to take care of counties that do not have adequate number of schools in that respect. And therefore, they will also go ahead and select 3 day schools in their home sub-county of residence. Of course, we are aware there are schools that will do pre-selection, for example, Stare and the others, and therefore they will start and then the rest of the schools will be able to follow. For placement purposes, This will be based on the learner's choice in terms of pathways, tracks, and subject combinations. And in terms of merit, the learner's academic performance in grade 9, which will be cumulative, having undertaken grade 6 assessment, grade 7 and 8, and then grade 9, both formative and summative will count in that case. Equity in terms of balancing, the regional balancing will also be taken care of, and school capacity will be very, very important, at least to ensure that the space that is available is made use of in the respective schools. In that case, then, to take care of equity, we will consider 6 learners per gender in each STEM track per sub-county who will be blessed in boarding schools of their choice. That therefore means 6 times 2 times 3, that gives us 36. I think that is now where basic maths comes in. And so if there are 36, that is 36 children per sub-county times 398, but of course, including the refugee as another sub-county, you can easily get the mathematics. Then the top 3 learners again per gender in each social science track, because there are 2, to be able to take care of that, and likewise to arts and sports. The placement admission procedure will be as follows. The placement results will show where learners have been placed, and then the admission letters, the joining instructions, as has been the practice, will be accessed online using the learner's assessment number, and all schools therefore will be expected to admit learners through chemis. And that of course principals are advised to ensure that they only upload details of learners when they have reported physically, when you have seen the children in blood and flesh. Of course, there'll be daily reporting on that to be able to monitor how children are reporting. Replacements will be undertaken in such a way that schools with vacancies will declare, and those who wish to have any changes will be able to make those requests at least 2 weeks to the reporting date, which will be January. And priority will be given to those who had selected those particular pathways and schools. And of course, the normal approval processes will go on. What is critical is the placement system, which will take care of the interest of the learner with the teacher's input and the academic performance. But in terms of step-by-step, the teacher who is guiding the selection will log in into the school's NEMIS account. And when he does that, the names and the assessment numbers of grade 9 learners in that school will pop up. Then they will go ahead to pick a learner to be taken through the process and update and save the details of that learner, including their home county, their home sub-county. Then confirm those present during selection, because we expect that the parent, the learner, and the head of institution will be there to guide the child. The learner then will be guided to select the pathway of interest. And then subsequently after that, select the track of interest in that same pathway. And therefore move ahead to select the first subject combination. For example, MPC, MPG. And the learner will be guided in that case then to select 4 senior schools. That is 1 day school, 1 boarding from home county, and 2 boarding from outside the county. The same process will be repeated for the second and third subject combinations of the child, because we want to give room to that flexibility. And our plan is to ensure that the selection runs from the 26th of May to 15th of June this year. And subsequently, we will have the ministry and NEC working on the rest of the logistics for placement purposes. As you are aware, we have separated registration for GJSEA from selection of pathways and tracks, so that now we are done with registration for assessment, but what is remaining is selection for pathways and tracks, including the schools, for purpose of ensuring that we tap into the talent of every learner. The various officers will have very important roles, starting from our cabinet secretary in charge of education, our PS, the Director General, the Head Directorate of Secondary Education, the heads of the various units, and the officer supporting heads, and more importantly, the field officers, from the regional directors, the county directors of education, sub-county directors, then the principals of senior schools, and heads of junior schools. What is critical among all these is that we should be able to identify and nurture the talent of every child. And therefore, when they make choices, if a child is very good in STEM, very good in social sciences, and very good in arts and sports, that is why we bring in the interest. What is your choice? We know you are good in all of them, but what is your choice? So that you can be able to excel. Remember, we believe strongly that every child is innately endowed, and therefore we should be able to extract that endowment and place them appropriately. Ladies and gentlemen, let us therefore cooperate to ensure a smooth transition from junior to his senior school. Asanteni.
Indeed, that was jet speed. Let's clap for him. He even saved a minute. So immediately after Dr. Sugut, we'll have a household name, very experienced, Professor Charles Ongondo, the head, the CEO of our National Curriculum Development Center, which we ably call KICD, Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, and who also sits in various boards and so has a wealth of experience, having been a board member of NEC, SEPU, Samastea, and has seen the path of this curriculum since we began CBC up to where we are now. We are talking about CBE, and we are very lucky to have him. We'll give you an opportunity to come and tell us a few things about organization of the basic curriculum. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mugai, our Principal Secretary, all dignitaries and stakeholders present, good afternoon. PS, from the beginning, all presenters have talked about pathways, and so mine should be the shortest presentation in consistency with the DG's direction that we avoid repeating what others said. However, I still want to persuade the DG that from my pathway, repetition is an aspect of style. So, and it is a point of emphasis. But PS, I want to specifically thank you for laying emphasis on the system. Competency-based education is the system. And if there's one thing the stakeholders will take away from here, then it is the difference between a system and a curriculum. That within the competency-based education, we have the competency-based curriculum that the DG says is developed at the kitchen where I preside over. Then we have the competency-based education infrastructure that the Ministry of Education is responsible for. We have competency-based education pedagogy, teaching and learning processes that the Teacher Service Commission handles. And of course, competency-based assessment where Dr. Nyagere presides over. PS, what that does for us is that as KICD, it takes a lot of assumed responsibility away from us because previously we have taken credit or blame for all those other aspects of competency-based education, where we deal with only one aspect. Two things I want to also mention before I repeat the pathways very, very briefly. One is that the essence of competence-based education generally, competence-based curriculum in particular, which underpins senior school being the last level of basic education, is underpinned by 5 principles. This is important because then it will underscore why we are talking about senior school. That a curriculum must emphasize the interests of the learner. And those interests are pegged on demonstrated potentials through the earlier levels of education. Hence, the pathways that we have to take care of the fact that a learner will be wired a little differently in terms of the preferred science. And I'm mentioning that science deliberately, PS, because research says we have 4 sciences based on the origin of the word science, which equates its meaning to education. That yes, we have the natural or physical sciences, which will be in STEM. We have the social sciences, where we are talking about different pathways. We also have applied sciences, which in this categorization are put within the STEM, but we also have creative sciences. So research has proven that all learners ultimately are wired differently in those directions. Hence, the need to make sure that at some point in basic education, we give them an opportunity to specialize in a preferred science. The other point I want to make, PS, is that let us look at senior school in the context of what has gone on before. That we had a primary school level where the focus was on interactive competencies. The learners have stayed with us at home. This is their first point of interaction with the rest of the world, and it is important that those interactive competencies are sharpened. After those 2 years, and at that pre-primary school, we are talking about age 4 to age 6. After those 2 years, then we have 6 years of emphasis on socialization, focus on socialization from grade 1 to grade 6. Socialization into the education system, socialization into the wider society. Then we had junior school, where we are transiting learners from. And the focus of junior school is interactive, is discovery, exploration. So that defines why this is the level where we have the widest range of learning areas. Learners have been given an opportunity to have a taste of almost all the learning areas before they can focus. Now, that progression in terms of focus, PS, is well informed through research and academic theory, particularly the works of Jean Piaget, because we are talking about a child from age 6 to from age 4 to age 6 at pre-primary, age 6 to age 12, then age 12 to age 15. Focusing a little more on the age 12 to 15 at junior school, that's a learner that I think, as DG indicated, is at a teenager going through adolescence, and by way of their cognitive development is wired to think more of the discovery. So now, that slide is extremely exciting to us at KSCD, and I believe the entire sector, because now we can look at it and say, pre-primary school, done. The learners have graduated. Primary school, done. Upper primary, well handled. And learners have had a series of KPSEA exams. Today, PS, we can proudly, as a country, talk about joining the League of Nations, where CBE is the default curriculum, as you did indicate, and that 2025, we are talking about graduating our learners to senior school. That is a milestone because it has not been an easy journey getting our learners there in terms of the curriculum designs, in terms of the curriculum support materials. And let me take this opportunity to assure the country that even as we talk about joining senior school, grade 10 curriculum designs are ready and already existing in our website at the KICD. You can visit them and socialize. Grade 10 curriculum designs are also on the website as drafts, because we still want stakeholder input. And before the end of next term, we shall be uploading grade 12 curriculum designs as well. Now, coming to the tracks, coming to, on that slide, there are just two things I need to emphasize. That at the end of the day, when learners leave senior school, we are looking at seeing a person who is empowered, who is engaged and ethical. In very, very basic word spheres, we are looking for a learner who is able to apply the knowledge into some tangible human experience, a learner who is able to do. And because of that, some of them, and most of them are believed, will choose to go on to tertiary education, university education, while some of them may decide that they are able to join the world of work and get a bit of experience. And the curriculum has been designed to ensure that is achieved. Next slide, please. The matter of core subjects has been handled by previous speakers. What is the essence of core curriculum subjects in a country? That there are skills that are considered generic, there are competencies considered generic that every other learner, regardless of the pathways they will have preferred, should be exposed to. In the earlier conceptualization of the curriculum, these were considered as English language, which is a language of widest use in the world, but also because it is our medium of instruction. Kiswahili was considered because it has been adopted by United Nations as a language of the African language of communication and the East African community and Kenya. And then community service learning is a powerful subject that links all that our learners will be able to do to the pertinent and contemporary issues around them, based on the principle that every other learning should have a utility value. It should be able to lead us towards addressing a particular societal problem that the competencies achieved at that level shall address. But you have heard what the PS has said this morning, earlier, given in the remarks of the Cabinet Secretary, that the country has spoken. Mathematics shall now be one of the core learning areas. Our duty shall be to take it through the relevant processes. And I want to assure that by the time we get to 2026, we shall have a mathematics suitable for learners in STEM, mathematics suitable for learners in the other pathways, complete with curriculum support materials. So that will take care of the core learning areas. So then, repeating what has been said severally, just maybe a few seconds on each. In the arts and sports pathway, we have two tracks. We have sports and recreation, and then we have physical education. In the creative sciences pathway, what we call creative arts, then we have music, theater and film, and we have fine arts. Then we move to the social science. Then we move to the social science pathway. That is where, by statistics, most of us in this room probably belong. And we have languages and literature, where I belong because I put food on my table by talking about English language and literature in English. And then we have humanities and business studies. The subjects are listed there. I don't have to go through them again. But while there, because I know this is being covered, may I, PS, with your permission, encourage the country that we have some foreign languages there, Arabic, Chinese, Mandarin, and we have French and German. This is one of those areas where we still have quite a lot of space in the job market. And we want to encourage colleagues, teachers who are here, and even parents, that we can advise our schools and our learners to take these areas because they are in high, very, very high demand. Let's go to the next one. That is the much talked about STEM. And yes, without repeating the learning areas there, all I want to emphasize is that Other than media technology, marine and fisheries technology, all the other learning areas are in the current curriculum. Probably we went down a bit in terms of the intensity, in terms of the number of learning institutions providing them. And we want to plead that our institutions should take courage to ensure that we increase the number of learners taking those areas, and even institutions that have infrastructure but had stopped offering these areas can pick them up a bit. Dr. Nyegere will confirm that in terms even of KCSE, we have examinations in those areas. Another encouragement is that the facilities for these areas, the infrastructure is not as expensive as we have usually thought. If you visited a very good institution here in Nairobi, I think they have 2 centers now called Gravity Center, probably they are represented in here, they'll be able to demonstrate to you that to offer electricity, for example, all you need is a table that has the basic requirements to offer that facility. But again, PS, through the earlier guidance of the ministry, we have advised that we make use of the facilities available in nearby technical training institutions, in nearby vocational training centers, so that we are able to offer those learning areas. I think I'm almost done. Let's see what slide you have next. That shall be the full list of the learning areas that we have. And indeed, as Professor Dota, I think, is the one who said, the beauty of competency-based education is that we have something for everyone. So we are looking forward to a situation where we have all our students passing because they will have chosen an area where they have demonstrated potential. We shall be having, up to that point, up to about 38 different learning areas organized in the other pathways as we have shown. What is on the next slide? Yes, the earlier conceptualization was the distribution of learning areas in terms of lessons, subjects in terms of lessons. That is going to change because mathematics is going to come on board as a core learning area with a number of lessons. So because we still have to be taken care of within the 40 lessons we have within 1 week, that is going to change. And the next few weeks, the country shall be advised accordingly. The last slide. Oh, not this last one. That's the second last one. Yes, we are at grade 9 of junior school in the year 2025. I think the point to emphasize here, especially to my colleague and friend, Professor Ondigi, is that yes, the people are coming to you in the year 2029, and the universities should not be asking us questions that they should answer, how to prepare their teachers. The curriculum designs are ready for up to junior school, up to senior school. Please take time to study them and let us work together towards making sure we have teachers for those areas. And very, very finally, as has been emphasized by my leaders, the curriculum is never fixed on stone. It changes according to the aspirations of our country. And that's why this conversation is still very timely. For us, we are very receptive, as the DG emphasized. Any concerns that come up, we shall find ways of factoring them in the curriculum so that then we serve the interest of the country, the interest of the learner. Thank you very much for listening to me.
I think we can take an energizer. Why don't we stand up? Maybe PS will not stand up, but no, he has stood up. So let's breathe in, out. Is it enough or you want to take another one? Breathe in, out. You still want to take another one? The last one now. Breathe in, then out. Let's clap for Professor again. And now we'll have Peter Kega from Teacher Service Commission. He has been a teacher. He has also been a curriculum developer at KICD. And now he's doing teacher professional management at Teacher Service Commission. He's here to represent the CEO, Dr. Nancy Macharia. Welcome. to prosecute the issue of the role of teacher management in CBE implementation.
The Principal Secretary, Basic Education, Ambassador Professor Julius Bitok, the DG, Dr. Alia Abdi, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Allow me first to deliver the apologies from the Commission Secretary, Dr. Nancy Jerry Macharia, who was appearing before the parliamentary Committee on Education, and therefore she could not be around this time. However, she is well represented by quite a number of colleagues. Kindly, whoever is there, if you are from TSC, kindly stand up so that we can show that the Commission is well represented. Thank you, have a seat. Mine is to just deliver what have been said to be delivered, but also to say that our business PS is very simple. We manage teachers. We employ and manage them. And without doing that, automatically, we cannot realize the curriculum as it is envisioned. And therefore, I'll go direct. I know there has been some issues, some questions that have been raised. I want to believe that maybe we are going to answer them as we continue. But if not, automatically, I'm sure I'll get an opportunity to respond to that during the plenary. Let's move. And it is important that I would want to just remind us of our mission. Our vision as a commission is actually a motivated, ethical, and globally competitive teacher. And of course, our mission is to regulate, maintain, and manage the teaching service through sound policies and operational excellence for quality teaching and lifelong learning. We continue. And of course, we do know that our mandate is very simple, as derived from Article 2.7 of the Constitution. And it is listed there from the issue about recruiting teachers. Of course, we know that we are coming here to tell us our role in the implementation of CBE. We recruit the teachers, we register them. Of course, before we recruit, we register. And to ensure that we register, we ensure that those people are qualified to teach, are qualified to implement the CBE. Then, of course, after we employ, we ensure that they conduct themselves well, and therefore we ensure that we exercise the disciplinary control over them. And of course, we are also supposed to review the standards of education as it is. Let's proceed. And therefore, ours is just to ensure that we implement our mandate. And it is important, if we may continue to the next session, the next slide, it is important to say that teachers are involved in every level of the curriculum cycle. From the time we do the needs assessment led by the KICD, to the time we do the curriculum itself through the designs, and even when we are selecting the curriculum support materials. And to ensure that then these teachers perform well, we have to do that by selectively nominating those who are qualified, ensuring that they also meet the integrity test as it is dictated by our Chapter 6 of the Constitution. And of course, curriculum delivery must be conducted through prescribed teacher contact hours, as dictated again by the curriculum. And we know there in the past, there were issues about whether our teachers are remaining in class to teach. And therefore, ours is to ensure that they not only appear to be teachers, but they are actually doing what is expected of them. Let's proceed. And of course, all what I have said is that I know that that diagram can be explained better at the curriculum development cycle as it is, and you can see where we come in, and therefore let us proceed. And therefore let us hit it where it is sweet, that we do the recruitment of teachers. It is important, PS, to say that so far for the junior schools, we have been able to recruit 76,765 Out of these, 56,765 are employed on permanent and pensionable terms. I am talking about junior schools, and 20,000 are serving as interns. Definitely, a number of our teachers in primary schools are qualified to teach in junior schools, and therefore the commission has been able to ensure that those who meet the qualifications have been deployed to junior schools and to continue serving as teachers at that level. Let's proceed. And for us, therefore, to do that, what are we saying? I am sure that this diagram will be explained better probably by another presenter. However, as we look at the prescribed curriculum, the experienced curriculum, and the achieved curriculum, to ensure that there is a nexus, there is a relationship, it is one and the same thing. Therefore, we must ensure that our teachers are well prepared. Yes, the 844 is the system that has produced the bulk of the teachers that we are having. We are yet to get to the products, to the graduates of CBE from the universities and from the colleges. And therefore, what do we do if we proceed to the next slide is that we need to retool our teachers. And this is the difference, therefore, that we do expect, and I am a witness, from the time the issue of CBC, let me use that one because that's what we were talking about. From the time that idea came, KICD started interacting with the universities and the teachers' colleges and talking to them about what they should be preparing for. However, for the stopgap, we need to do the retooling. And this retooling has not been conducted by the commission. The commission only coordinate a multi-agency approach, which includes, if we may proceed, which may include all the organs that are represented here. The Ministry of Education, I said we go to the next slide. The Ministry of Education, we are talking about KISA, we are talking about KICD that prepares the materials that we do. We are talking about Semester and all the agencies that are involved. We work together to ensure that teachers are actually prepared and retooled as it should be. And therefore, we use a cascade model. What does that mean, therefore? If we may proceed, that at the highest level, we train ourselves on how we are going to train, which we call ourselves the master trainers. The master trainers then go to the counties and train the trainers, who then proceed together with the curriculum support officers, the sub-county directors, and the quality assurance officers at the ground. We train the teachers. That is the smart cascade model that we apply in training the teachers. And therefore, so far, if we may proceed, so far, as you can see, PSR, we have been able to train 291,134 teachers. And these teachers have been, as we can see, for primary schools, we have done 229,292. Junior schools so far, 60,642, and teacher training colleges, we have done 1,200. It must be remembered that, as it was said earlier, currently we are retooling teachers. And therefore, this process will be coming to an end tomorrow evening. And I can assure you, PS, that by tomorrow evening, the numbers will have increased. A clap for the government because of provision of monies to do this. In addition to that, if we may proceed, in addition to that, of course, there is continuous professional support that has been offered to the teachers even after the training. There are some issues that we have had some cases, especially even during the dialogue, that probably this training is taking such a short time. It is too brief. It does not end there. After that, we proceed to follow the teachers to schools and support them. And I'm happy to report that in the just concluded quarter, we have been able to offer 7,200 professional support activities across the country. And therefore, as they say, it is a luta continua. In addition to that, let's proceed. The commission also has been capacity building the teachers on digital literacy. We know that digital literacy is one of the 7 core competencies in CBE. And of course, the role of ICT in teaching and learning process can never be underestimated. As such, we have engaged through remote learning methodologies and live streaming of lessons. Let's proceed. In these remote learning methodologies, this is whereby the teacher does not have to be in class to teach. He or she is using various platforms to ensure that learners get what they deserve. You remember this idea of remote learning came when we had COVID and everybody was staying at home and the parents started saying, hey, how do we manage these learners? This is where we decided that it is important to engage this, and beyond that we have gone to audiovisual modes, learning management systems including Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams and Lab Exchange, and of course in so doing, we have ensured that the learner has been given the opportunity to interact more and more. with the curriculum. Let's proceed. And therefore, again, in live streaming, this is whereby we are saying that one teacher in a particular school can teach so many learners in different schools. So far, we have seen that when we have identified 30 principal schools that from where the teaching is done, and 180 satellite schools where learners are getting live lessons from specific schools. For example, when we are talking about Alliance, teaching a learner somewhere in Saburu. We are talking about Wajir girls, teaching some learners somewhere deep in Madeira. This is quite an innovation that is helping as a stopgap, and of course also boosting the morale of learners, knowing that they are sharing teachers from the so-called special big schools. Let's proceed. And of course, as it has been indicated, we have been able to train all those teachers. More than 1,000 have been trained on this. In summary, sir, it is important to state that establishing and maintaining a teaching service that is adequate to the needs of public learning institutions in Kenya, including appointment and deployment of institutional administrators, is one of our roles to ensure that CBE succeeds. 2, coordinating the retooling of teachers on CBE through multi-agency approach, including the MOE, KICD, NEC, Mastea, KISE, and other agencies. The third one is facilitating professional development for teachers in the teaching service to ensure continuous updating of their competencies on more innovative approaches to teaching. And also finally, monitoring the performance and the conduct of teachers in the teaching service through TPAD system, and of course, elaborate disciplinary process for those alleged to act contrary to the code of conduct for teachers. Let's proceed. In conclusion, the Commission is committed to playing its role in ensuring that competency-based education is implemented as envisioned through innovative teacher management approaches. And further, we are determined to live up to our constitutional mandate and vision of a motivated, ethical, and globally competitive teacher. And we believe through that, CBE will be implemented successfully. Thank you so much.
Are you looking for video live streaming services? You want your church services to be on air? You do not know where to market your goods and services? At Sound Candid Talk, we deliver the best live stream services for your events, product and service launches, conferences, weddings, and live. Reach on us today. Sound Candid Talk Live News.